Ah, finally. Legend ZA is done and we can all relax and what? Oh, yeah, no, it's 2026. It's the 30th year anniversary of Pokemon. Of course they're gonna release Generation 10. Hmm? $160? Not including the DLC? Did did Shinx get a new form? What's going on? I was good, Joe. Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. By the time you guys see this, we'll have hit New Year's. So, happy New Year's. I hope 2026 is a lot better to you than 2025 ever was. Unfortunately, we are discussing the topic of Pokemon, so that will be completely debatable. 2025 was definitely a year filled with a lot of dashed hopes and shattered expectations. Which is why I am more than certain that there are plenty of people going into 2026 feeling kind of lukewarm about this franchise, if they haven't hopped off the boat already. Now, you guys know me, I try my best not to be too incredibly cynical throughout the entirety of a video, but based on the title of the video, I feel like it's kind of appropriate to be that, right? This is essentially going to serve as my first primary prediction video of this year in regards to what we're going to be receiving, most likely for Pokemon Day. We'll probably have a very similar discussion leading up to the day, but for now, this is my general prediction of what the year of 2026 is going to look like when it comes to Pokemon. So, you good and well know that by now. Why don't you go ahead, grab a nice cold glass of Sprite or Coca-Cola, go ahead and fry up that leftover yogurt that's been sitting in the fridge for 2 years so that you have dipping sauce for your mozzarella sticks, while we go ahead and predict 2026 for Pokemon, and why I have little hope for it this year. Even if we do get some kind of major Nintendo Direct in January, it's likely that all of the major Pokemon information is going to be saved for the Pokemon Presents for Pokemon Day on February 27th. They've definitely gotten more into the habit of making sure that they get all of the mobile stuff out of the way because they know for a fact that that's the least important information that we need to receive. So of course, we're gonna get major updates on Pokemon Go, Pokemon Masters EX, Pokemon Unite, a couple of cosmetics or something for all of them or whatever. Is Cafe Remix still in there? Sure, we're gonna get some more on that. TCG Pocket is probably due for some major update or something like that, probably. I don't know if anybody even plays that anymore. People are just collecting the physical cards, and it is a mess. So I'm staying far away from the TCG in every aspect. I've got a question that might apply to like 2 people. Do y'all still play Pokemon Sleep? And does it receive updates regularly, or are you usually waiting for Pokemon Presents to see if it will get an update of any kind? And when you do, what do those updates usually even entail? Sleeping harder? I don't understand. Is it still going? I'm curious, let me know. Otherwise, we might hear something from Pokemon Sleep. We'll see what happens. I would laugh my ass off if we completely skipped over Pokemon Friends this year entirely, but I would not be mad about that. I just think it would be genuinely hilarious if that game flopped that hard that they don't even acknowledge it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that game was such a shot in the dark, and it didn't land anywhere good at all with people. So yeah, I think it would be really funny if they just completely bypassed that one. Anyways, other than that, we are guaranteed getting another new mobile game for Pokemon. It is pretty much inevitable. They are going to be coming up with something to keep you engaged on your phone with Pokemon one way or another. There's no doubt in my mind. If it's going to be good or not, I don't know. I highly doubt it's going to be anything significant enough for people to actually want to play it for a long period of time, though. Let's be super honest. It's either going to be kind of somewhat neat and a couple of people will probably mess with it for like a solid week before it dies out, or it will die out instantly just like Pokemon Friends did and nobody will speak of it ever again. No in between. I have to imagine they're probably going to introduce some shows and stuff like that. I think Pokemon Concierge is completely over. I don't see them making a third season of something like that. I'm pretty sure it's done, but I have to actually watch season 2. I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, they're going to give us updates on Pokemon Horizons in some way, shape, or form. That's going to be going on for a good while, so no doubt about that one. I have to also imagine they're probably going to give us a glimpse into that Wooloo show. If that didn't happen already, I think that's a this year thing, right? I don't know. I'm not going to watch it, but we're probably going to see that. Completely forgot about it until now, but we'll see what happens with that. Though I do imagine and kind of hope that we do see another project on the level of Pokemon Twilight Wings, Pokemon Evolutions, Pokemon Paldean Winds. We need another multi-layered series like those, even if they are short form at this point. Those are some of the most high quality Pokemon animations we ever get to see, and we need more of those. And I really do hope that they do something like that. I think it would be really, really, really neat if they did like Tales of Lumiose or something like that, and we got little glimpses into, like, you know, little events around Lumiose with Emma, with Lita, with Naveen, maybe stuff delving into their history and stuff like that. Maybe, you know, a whole thing leading up to like how they met AZ for the first time and stuff like that. I think that would be incredibly adorable. Maybe a little short on how Zygarde saved Lysander and what he did while he was wandering around while his memories were completely kaput and stuff like that. I think a real like Tales of Lumiose series could do wonders for the story of Legend ZA. I think that could be really, really cute, really, really cool. But even if not that, I'm down for whatever. It doesn't need to be related to Legend ZA. And even if that probably was the case, we probably wouldn't see that one for a while if we're honest. But regardless, I would love to see something of that caliber again, because those are really, really fun. Also, something that I don't talk about often enough, I really do hope that we see another movie soon, right? I would love to see a completely original movie starring characters completely outside of like the anime cast. So no Ash and them, no Roy and Lita, none of that. I want to see a completely original Pokemon story. Give us completely fresh characters and let us delve into their story and let us connect with somebody new. You know what I'm saying? And it would be even cool if we got attached to a movie enough where we had that, it could be canon stuff that we could see later on down the line. We could see these characters later. But regardless, I want to see a real Pokemon movie because it's been a good, what has it been, like 2021 or something, 2 maybe, since we've seen that, what's that monkey, bro? I don't even care. that movie sucked. Secret of the Jungle, that movie was buns. But regardless, I would love to see a new, fresh Pokemon movie. Getting more into the game stuff, they do have a couple of planned releases that are likely going to hold us over until Generation 10 at the end of the year. They are likely to talk about Pokopia one final time before it fully releases about a week or so later, and people are going to be playing that for a good minute before it inevitably dies off in under a month, most likely, because again, it is just simply a spin-off. If it's high quality, I don't know yet. It looks generally good for the most part. You know, it's got that Dragon Quest Builders, Animal Crossing hybrid of like discovering new friends in Pokemon and utilizing their powers to explore and build for them and things like that. So in concept, it's neat, it's cool, it's cute, I'm down with it. But we'll have to see what happens in the long term with that game because again, I don't have a lot of high hopes in regards to that price and what a lot of people are going to think about that. So we'll see what happens with all that. Now, what I'm interested in is how they're going to handle Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Colosseum's Nintendo Online port situation, because with Pokopia releasing that soon, they'll probably shadow drop those games the week or two before, so we have something to do, and then we'll end up playing Pokopia for a little while, and those 2 or 3 things, I guess, are going to be our primary holdover until the summer. But for the most part, it could go either way. They'll either shadow drop it or they'll give us a definitive release date for when both of those games are dropping. Hopefully it's at the same time because it's been too long since we've played Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness, and we've known about it for the better part of half of a year now. So surely they'll give it to us sooner rather than later. Those 3 things are likely going to be our holdovers until we inevitably get Pokemon Champions, and I really do think that Pokemon Champions is going to be that perfect summer release for everybody. Like, everybody's going to be on a little bit of a break for school and stuff like that, and it's going to be a prime time to get your Pokemon out of Pokemon Home that you've been building up for the last year, or pretty much, while waiting on Generation 10, and just get into competitive. Just really learn everything, the ins and outs of competitive, and just really delve fully into Pokemon Champions. And they're gonna hook that up as much as humanly possible, so that when we inevitably do get Generation 10 and they introduce its new gimmick and stuff like that, by around this time next year, we'll likely have a bunch of info as to what new Pokemon, or like what batch of Pokemon from Generation 10 is going to be available first in Champions, as well as how the gimmick is going to work in tandem with everything else, right? It's going to give a little bit of time to enjoy it before we fully, integrate that into Champions and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what happens. And then lastly, of course, at the end of the year in November, it is absolutely undeniable fact that because it is the anniversary, the 30th anniversary for Pokemon, a legendary franchise, there's no way in hell they're gonna go out small. They're dropping Generation 10, no doubt, in my mind, at all. It's as ready as it's gonna be, and we're gonna see it we're gonna have good and well played it and likely reviewed it by this time next year. Now, as far as my general bare bones predictions that we'll probably get deeper into once we get closer to Pokemon Day, that's generally it. You guys know me, I try to be positive even throughout the negative stuff. Like, I am hopeful that we get, like a cool little music video again like we did a couple years back for the anniversary. Hopefully we get a really awesome movie that everybody enjoys for the most part. Hopefully they've been cooking up in the lab with that, because we haven't seen one in a good while. Based on the responses from the leaks, people seem to have generally good things to say about Generation 10, so hopefully that is the case and it does turn out to be something absolutely extraordinary and blows all expectations out of the water in every which way. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like this previous year, in terms of a lot of things related to gaming, hasn't left me skeptical. The political state of gaming, whether you want to acknowledge that or not, is undeniably f***ing terrible. And it is likely only going to progressively get worse. And I say this because, unfortunately, we really are in an era that heavily incentivizes big company to exploit us, the consumer, as much as humanly possible. And because of that, I simply fear for a lot of the games and franchises that are owned by the bigwigs that run everything. When it comes to Pokemon in particular, we have never shied away from the very obvious fact that Pokemon Company in of themselves are possibly some of the greediest individuals on Earth. There is zero debate on that. That greed definitely reared its head a bit this last year. It's going to completely pop out of the ground this upcoming year. Let's go back through what I mentioned now and be a bit more cynical about them this time. The mobile slop is going to continue to get worse because they don't have to invest nearly as much into them to put them out, which means they can only really gain from those small investments, and all it takes is the right one to reach the right audience. Which in concept makes sense for a general business, right? You put investments into something that you can see the most profit out of over a longer period of time. So it totally makes sense from that standpoint. I'm sure people are tired of hearing the word slop at this point, but when it is effortless slop, like Pokemon Sleep, like Pokemon Friends, it's kind of degrading. Right? If you're gonna constantly give us mobile games that are most likely what was supposed to replace spin-off games as a whole, the least you could do is at least offer some kind of generally quality mobile titles, right? Outside of Go and Masters EX, I have not spent a significant amount of time on any other app, and they just keep coming. And Pokemon Friends showed us that they did have a plan when it came to that monetization style, and oh boy did that not go over well. But those are probably just gonna keep coming because there is absolutely no loss to them doing that over and over again. While I do look forward to being able to play Coliseum and XD Gale of Darkness again, those things can be ripped away from me at any given time because those are not just one-time purchases, they are locked behind NSO. It's not just Nintendo or Pokemon that does this anymore, but it kind of sucks that there's this kind of idea floating around that I have to sit here and accept that the only way for me to enjoy these games from my childhood is if I'm paying a monthly subscription fee. Granted, with NSO, it's at least a lot better because I'm not paying monthly. I'm paying like 20, 30 bucks a year for the family plan. So fine, whatever, it's a lot more bearable. But I think it's a little trash that if something happens and Nintendo just so happens to get hacked or whatever for some weird reason, I won't have access to those games. I can't just play those during that downtime. That's buns. Again, this is a bigger issue outside of just Nintendo when it comes to digital media and how it's being handled, but it's just a little upsetting that we could have had physical ports for these games ages ago and we just simply never did. Unfortunately, I also have absolutely no doubt in my mind that Pokemon Champions is going to be monetized to hell and back. I mean, granted, I could be totally and completely wrong. We don't even know if this is like a free-to-play type live service game yet. But I think it's pretty safe to say that it is because it's also going to be an app that you could play from anywhere. I mean, this is going to be the competitive Pokemon game. I can't see a situation in which they don't see an opportunity to profit. So that's another fun way to milk your consumers. Pokopia in of itself is a little alarming because as much as I do enjoy the prospect and the ideas behind it, I cannot justify a $70 spin-off title. Unfortunately, all of the AAA publishers have gotten bold and pushed the line to make $70 games the norm. So now we get situations between a rock and a hard place like Pokopia. On one hand, you can invest in this expensive ass spin-off and let them know that you want more spin-offs, but going forward, it's very likely that pretty much every spin-off game is going to be hella overpriced. Because I'm telling you right now, you are not going to have to imagine a future in which you're paying $70 to $80 for Explorers of Time, Darkness, or Sky remakes. On the very real chance that this game does sell well, that's the future we're looking at. But on the other hand, like I've probably said in a couple of different videos now, if the game isn't supported enough, in their eyes, they're completely justified in cutting all production for any other real spin-offs and just continuing with the mobile aspect of everything, and more stuff like Unite and whatever other live service games they want to use to milk people. I know I'm being a little dramatic about this, but at the same time, I don't think that it's a coincidence that we don't really see actual spin-offs that often from this franchise anymore, because there is absolutely no reason as to why we don't have those remakes yet. And then, when it comes to Generation 10, as much as I really want to be excited and look forward to what's happening with that, it's kind of hard not to be astronomically nervous because of what we've received over the last couple of years. Coming from somebody that liked ZA a lot, even with that extra year of development, I'm telling you right now, there is no universe in which that is a $70 game. And now we're looking at Generation 10 on the horizon, something that was developed by a completely separate team at the exact same time, meaning they can't learn from any of the mistakes that ZA made because they're wrapping up development only about a year apart. Again, I'm just being dramatic here. I don't have an uncle that works at Nintendo or Pokemon Company, so I don't know the exact time frame in which who wrapped up what, but my point still stands. For the last couple of years, time never has been and likely never will be on Game Freak's side when it comes to Pokemon, and that is truly tragic. And if you think that the discourse for ZA was bad, oh buddy, put those boots back on and get ready to trek, man, because it's going to be a battlefield, dog. And I am already exhausted. Thankfully, a lot of you guys are very much capable of having a nuanced discussion about the positives and negatives of every aspect of things when I talk about them. Because yes, while I do agree that Pokemon games could and should be better, there is no doubt about that, there are aspects, little ones, that are progressively getting better as time goes on. It's just never the big leap that people want or need it to be, and that in of itself has been just an exhausting discussion. I just feel like this year is not going to make that discussion, or let's call it what it is, argument, get any better. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's just me. So that just about does it for this one. Sorry if this one came off kind of whiny? Like a complaint. I just needed to vent a little bit, and I just felt like, you know, I decided I may as well be honest about how I'm feeling going into this year. I think the best word I could put it is skeptical. Very worrying that Generation 10 is just, it feels too soon. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I don't know. I really don't know what even to expect at this point anymore. So we'll have to see what happens. But the one thing I do anticipate is the arguments and discourse that's just going to be just eroding the comment section in every video going forward for the next God knows how long. So I'm gonna tell it to you like this. I'm gonna keep it $150 with y'all. I am going to work really hard on second channel this year, and you know, I'm just gonna do the best that I can with that. Simple as that. No more month-long breaks and stuff like that. We have so many other games that we can talk about, and I really want to be able to do that to the quality that I've presented to you guys here. I want to build that up as much as I can. So I will still be here. I'll still be talking about Pokemon throughout the year. You know what I'm saying? Just know I'll be talking about so many other things, about some Sonic, some Kingdom Hearts, some Zelda, some Expedition 33, which I just finished very recently and really want to talk more about. Over there. Links always in description and somewhere on the channel. But with that being said, I think I have said the piece that I have needed to say. So the mic, I'm knocking it in your direction, and I want you guys to tell me everything in the comment section below. Do you agree that you know, with my synchronicity, is that a word? With my disagreements here, do you agree that this year is just looking a little bleak in terms of quality when it comes to Pokemon? We're probably going to be seeing a lot of just reasonable discourse amongst everybody. It's just going to be an exhausting time, and we don't know when this series is going to be able to take the leap that it deserves, because these games do deserve to be just so much more. Or am I just being an absolute whiny baby cynical weenie? And the games are fine, they're getting better, and Generation 10 is going to blow all of our expectations completely out of the water. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes sir, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just so. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
I stay funky, doing donuts in a bin. I stay funky, battle goes wherever I am. I stay funky, I don't know who's ready to spit. Just know you're going down with my 58 clips. I stay funky, honey's taking back to the crib. I stay funky, get the club popped off like pen. I stay